Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
All right, 3 o'clock, Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the X platform, YouTube, at Mike Gill Show. Use the hashtag SB Live. John McMullen from Birds 365 on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, set to join us here. This hour is brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation for generations. Call 609-390-3907, online broadlees.net. Johnny Mac's in the house, and boy, oh boy, 11-2, 9 straight. It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year, Clark. It's A.J. Brown, it's Jalen Hurts, and it's everybody else who has a thought on it, John. And, of course, the Eagles struggle to a win over the Carolina Panthers. But obviously it's everything that happened off the field. Is it warranted? Is this a bigger deal? Are we making a bigger deal out of it, or is this something that you're saying, oh, no, not again?
Well, I'm saying, oh, no, not again. It's not nothing, but I'll say, the more important problems are on the field, I think, still, and that's the passing game. So I think that overshadows the bigger issue, which is they got to figure out how to get that passing game going. And I can't believe we're talking about it because
you and I have been talking about that all year, though, that the passing game is not what they want.
No, and with the talent they have, it's really, it's mind-boggling to the point where it's dipped over the past 2 weeks. It's just, you almost have to work to make it that bad. 118 yards in Baltimore, 108 yards against the Carolina Panthers, throwing the football. It was really 83 net. That's egregious. That's worst quarterback in the league level, worst offense in the league level. You have Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and that running game and that offensive line. Makes no sense.
No. It makes no sense. You're absolutely right. Like, I'm not the most irrational guy in the world, but I say, look, this is like Tecmo Bowl. Give me 4 plays, and I can figure out a way to be successful with this group of guys here. So A.J. says, what's wrong with the team? Passing. Everyone is assuming he's talking directly at the quarterback. Is that your assumption as well?
No, I think he was talking directly about the passing game. He was asked the question. AJ had an unforced error. Brandon's, I would argue, is far worse. AJ was very short. It was clear he was frustrated. It was clear. And when you do that, you create the ability for others to take your answers in any way they want to take them. And I think that's what happened with AJ. If you look at his individual answers, and they're very short, as I said, they're not bad in them, other than telling the truth and saying, well,
and the answers, John, are all left up to interpretation. What's wrong with the offense? Passing. I think Scott Grayson followed up. Is it hard to get into a rhythm? Extremely difficult. So I think he's and he's got a little smirk. He's got a little smile as if he's answering these questions knowing this is not going to go well for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say passing, and then Scott asked about throwing only 20, 21 times a game. That's what he was talking about when he said incredibly tough. When he slammed his helmet on the bench, he was asked, why 3 and outs? And then what do you do? Put our heads down, go to work, things like this. I mean, nothing remotely controversial, but again, because of that frustration, instead of like Jordan Mailata said the same things, but he said them in a way where no one questioned them, and there is something to the delivery aspect of it. Devontae Smith said similar things. Nick Sirianni said similar things yesterday. Jalen Hurts said similar things on the podium. But they weren't as short and to the point as A.J. Brown. So And then, when I say the baton, I don't know about you, but I have so many people on social media saying, well, the last time he complained about getting the football, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, where did he complain about not getting the football? Like, people just make stuff up out of whole cloth. Never said anything remotely like that. Now, do we all know he wants the football? Of course. One of the best 5 receivers in the world. Have you ever known a receiver that didn't want a football?
Well, I think, John,
at least a good one.
I think what has happened here is what AJ said is made to interpretation. If it just ended there, it probably kind of dissipates by Thursday, Friday, and then we see what happens on the game on Sunday. Brandon Graham, who is generally somebody that is well-liked, and when he says something, I always say I take it with a grain of salt because he's always just so overly positive and playful. That nothing's ever wrong. Everything's great. Oh, it's an honor to play, and we thank God that we get this opportunity. He did not help matters, and then the team essentially said, yo, go fix this. I don't know if he made it better or worse, but if Graham just does not – I think Graham's body language and the way that he explained it said – all right, there's a problem here. Did you take that from what Graham said?
Well, I from Brandon, I think he just obviously misspoke and went in a direction he shouldn't have gone in, and then had to walk it back, as he mentioned. Whether it was he was told to, or he learned pretty quickly once reporters started contacting him. Okay, maybe I went too far with this. I don't know. I mean,
but did you not? Do you not agree that the tone of his voice and the way that he explained this made you feel that Brandon Graham's saying it like this? There might be something here, or not really?
Well, I don't. I guess I don't really care about the personal relationship. I mean, are they as close as they once were? Probably not. But to me, that doesn't matter. What matters is the passing game on the field. That's what I'm saying. Like that stuff, like I think, and I say this all the time, you line up, and I probably said it on your show, I said it on my show, line up 75 guys, and they're not all going to get along.
Absolutely.
At all times. I mean, in life, I mean, pick any listener here right now, pick the next 75 people you meet. You're not going to like them all. So the assumption that a football team is always going to be, oh, we're in love with each other is just that's so pie in the sky. I can't even believe people believe that, to be honest. If you want to go back to 2017, now that Darren Sproles has talked about it, I can talk about it. And the fact that, hey, guess what? He got a fight with Carson Wentz. And they won the Super Bowl. You go back to there's always little issues in an NFL locker room. And as long as you can work together and succeed, none of that matters. To me, the biggest issue by far is on the field, and the fact that somehow a team with an historic running game, the best offensive line, arguably in the NFL, and 2 of the best receivers in the NFL, is throwing for 108 yards. Like, if you look at it, look at the other teams, the run-heavy teams that people talk about this league. Well, Detroit runs the football really well. They throw it really well. Green Bay runs it really well with Josh Jacobs. Well, they throw it really well.
Yeah.
Minnesota runs it well with Aaron Jones. Well, they throw it really well. I mean, why? The assumption that, because I've heard that, well, Saquon's having an historic year. In theory, that should make it easier to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Typically.
Well, and one of the things, I think you asked the question, correct me if I'm wrong, is that, hey, the fact that you guys run the ball so much, does that make it more difficult for them to get into a rhythm in the pass game?
Well, and I think there is that unintended consequence of they just don't throw the ball anymore, and they haven't thrown the ball in the fourth quarter, and I think that has become an unintended consequence. Like you can't just, and to me, it goes all the way back to week 4. You know, it's we always talk about abandoning a running game because nobody abandons the passing game. Well, you can make an argument the Eagles have abandoned the passing game. Like, it's weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
So have they lost faith in the quarterback? Is that the message?
I don't.
Is it that they lost faith in the quarterback or that they trust the running game that much? Are they the two questions?
Yeah, and I think the answer is pretty obvious.
Yeah, they lost faith in the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, the answer is obvious. Look at weeks 1 through week 4, and look at the post-bye week, and make your own decision. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to fans. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I've said pretty consistently, I can't even believe how much emphasis they put on those first 4 weeks because AJ wasn't there for 3 of them.
Right.
And they made this drastic decision, like, well, we can't do this, so we have to do this.
But don't you think, John, like, Brown is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. He's open. There's a slant play. He's open. Throw him the ball. Like, this isn't hard. These are elementary throws. Like, they're not asking him.
Well, that's the point.
Right?
I mean, the hesitation, I've been talking about this all year. The ball's not coming out.
No. I mean,
ball's not coming out.
The guy's got pink shoes on. He's the biggest receiver you ever saw in your life. He's wide open. How are you not saying that's the only guy I'm going to throw? Like, if you said, I'm afraid to throw the ball, but I'll throw it to that dude, that's all you would do. I mean, even the plays that he is making, he throws the ball to Devontae Smith on the sideline. That's the wrong throw. He's got Calcaterra open, right? He's got Calcaterra with more yak yards.
Making it more difficult, yeah.
Yes. The 2 touchdowns, Brown's open, easy. The guy's right in front of you, and it's like, there's no way that he can't be seeing this, right? Is this what we're actually seeing?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to explain. And you know, one of the questions to Kellen Moore today was, look, did you guys essentially, you know, put it in his head about ball security so much that he's fearful of throwing the football to create turnovers? You know, maybe that's it. But, I mean, these plays are there. I mean, they're there.
100%.
And the ball's just not coming out. And that's why you say it's like, whew. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, the fact that they win every week makes it in some ways even worse because people ignore it. Well, but we won this and that.
Well, and like Jason Kelce last night, I don't know if you saw what he said was, well, it was different last year. We had like one of the worst defenses in the league. You know, that was, you know, like now the defense is almost making you feel like, well, the collapse can't happen because last year their defense was so bad. This year their defense is good. Is that fair, or do you say, no, I don't know, this thing could start snowballing in the wrong direction?
I'm not concerned about a collapse like last year, but I'm concerned about that first-round playoff loss. You know, in other words, they're not going to show up this week, lose to Pittsburgh, and not win a game. I'm not concerned about that. One, the schedule practically won't allow it. 2, I do think
we said that last year.
2, I do think they're a better team. They're much better defensively. But what I've been talking about all season is the margin of error. And the best case, the best example of what I'm talking about is the Carolina game. You're an Xavier Leggett drop away from losing that football game against a 3-win team. And that's an easy catch. You know, if you project that to the playoffs, Amon St. Brown ain't dropping that. Justin Jefferson ain't dropping that.
Right.
Jaden Reed isn't dropping that. And that's your margin of error. That's how close you were because of the way you're playing to lose to a team that shouldn't even be on the field with you because of the way you're playing football.
Right. Well,
that's the problem.
Right. Is it because of who the opponent was? Is that why this came to light? Or is it 22-16 played Baltimore, same thing?
22-16 played Baltimore, same thing. Baltimore was 118 yards. and the defense, I would say, played better against Baltimore than they did against Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You have those upticks week to week, but yeah, it's the first time the defense had given up 300 yards since the bye week. So, they weren't on their A game against a poor opponent. So, and again, it only takes one. This is like the NCAA tournament. It's not best of 7. It only takes one bad day and you're out.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're throwing the ball for 118 yards against a good team, I don't like your odds.
No.
I don't care how good Saquon is.
So this is a culmination of Brown finally coming, because I guess one of the questions is 13 weeks in, Jalen said, we should have the passing game down by now. Now, Kelsey said last night, I disagree with Kelsey Hurts on that the offense should always be kind of fluid and evolving. Hurts says, no, we should be where we want to be passing game. They certainly shouldn't be regressing. They're regressing in the passing game. They're regressing. And they got Devontae back. Remember, they didn't have Devontae the 2 games prior, essentially. So, and AJ early in the season, some of it, Dallas is not out there. But again, you look at Detroit's offense, you look at the other good teams, you look at Minnesota, you look at Green Bay. They all run the football well, not as well as the Eagles. Baltimore in that category as well. And they all have good passing games as well to complement it. And partially is because they can run the ball. And that, each helps the other. Here they run it. They've never run it better. And they've run it great for basically since Nick got here, week 7, whatever, since Nick has been here. They've been the best running team in football. Whether it's Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift, just gotten better with Saquon Barkley. And they've always, even with Brian Johnson, they've always had a representative passing game. Now, they're 31st in the NFL. I can't believe, and so many people argue it. Like it's, but this. It's terrible. Yeah. No, it's funny because this fan base over the years, John, has been run the ball. And now they have a team that runs the ball and they're perplexed as to why they can't throw it.
Well, a lot of people love it. I wouldn't say the whole fan base, but I think the people who understand what the long term, to get to the long term goal, they've won 9 straight games. So I get that. You say, well, they're winning games. So who cares how they win games? There's a group in that category, and I get that. But again, you're trying to project. We all know what the goals of this team are. And I find it very hard to believe that they can beat a top-tier offense the way they're playing offense right now.
Yeah.
Now, they could turn it around next week. They have time. But it seems to be regressing, not going in the right direction.
John McMullen, Birds 365, tomorrow morning at 8:20. You can check me out on the show, and I'll give him my assertion in a longer form. There, he was here on the Sports Bash, and he, as always, on the Sports Bash, bringing it with the Eagles, drama, December. Wouldn't have it any other way, right?
Yeah, it's always something with this team. You got to give BG credit for keeping it all. And you can't blame the media for once. These are the players talking, not us.
All right, John. Appreciate you as always, pal.
All right. Thanks, Mike.